So if you're here for the giveaway announcement, it's going to be at the end of the video. Hold your horses, I promise we'll get there. First, we have to go ahead and do Claire's tag. So Claire from Claire Russo is doing the Claire Witch Project for October, which is a name I love. Basically, she has a couple of different videos that all talk about witches in some form or capacity, and one of those is her witch tag. So I'm gonna pull it up. She tagged me, and we're gonna jump to it. So I probably should have dressed up for this. Fun fact, while a lot of my clothes are pretty witch inspired, I don't actually have like the traditional alewife hat. 7 questions? It's 7 questions long. And I've actually watched a couple of these. I know that Chelsea from the Reading Outlaw did hers, and I loved watching it. This is like exactly the kind of tag that's up my alley. I love witches. In fact, I joke with everyone that my house is a witch house, and it's a thing. So let's go ahead and start with the questions. The first one says, hop on your broomstick and pick a favorite witchy setting. I love witch stories that take place with a real nature vibe. So they're not necessarily stories that are set in the woods, although the woods is probably my favorite. But things where it feels like the people involved are in touch with nature, like on the edge of something really raw, right? So it's that image of like a colonial house on the edge of a cliff and like the water rushing up, or, you know, wild gardens, that really ephemeral kind of magic where it feels like the magic is sourced from the world around you as opposed to maybe in the person itself. For me, a really atmospheric setting tends to be what does it. So, you know, think something kind of Baba Yaga in the woods, dark and broody, maybe creepy owl sounds and things like that. That tends to be the kind of atmosphere I like in my witch stories. I think I think of a couple of different stories when I think about this. I think about some of the depth of the forest, Baba Yaga house kind of stuff from Catherine Arden's Bear and the Nightingales books. I also think of kind of the magic forest in Mary and the Witch's Flower, where it feels like there's secrets there. Like the air just must feel thick and wise. I don't know. Question 2 is to whip out your wand and pick your favorite magic system. So I'm kind of two minds about this. I hate when there's no internal logic in a magic system if there's supposed to be something very studious about it. So something like Harry Potter, I want that internal magic to have a logic where it's thought out because it's so prepared, right? Because you can sit down and you can do potions and there's like a whole study of transfiguration. For me, that should have some sort of consistent internal logic. But as far as personal favorites, I'm a real sucker for like the Aggie Cromwell Halloween Town system, where it's about letting yourself have the things that you believe you deserve. And for me, that's just like an emotionally satisfying story, and also makes it so that the story doesn't have to, the magic doesn't have to necessarily make sense. I kind of want people to commit one way or the other. Don't middle line me on magic having rules. Question 3, gather up your magical herbs and occult ingredients and pick some favorite tropes from witch stories. This one is easy. Again, with the two-parter. Part of this all of my answers I feel like can be broken down to I want revenge or I want happy-go-lucky. There are a number of favorite tropes that I have about witches. I really love a lot of different witch stories, but I would say really I love coming of age witch stories where it's about finding power in yourself. So something like Zoraida Cordova's Labyrinth Lost is fantastic for that. or Diane Wynne Jones' Chronicles of Crestomancy, where it's really about finding out who you are when your morals and principles are held to account. That being said, I will always love a jilted lady story where she's taken some revenge. Just, it's pretty on brand. I feel like no one is surprised by that. Stir that bubbling cauldron and choose a witchy brew and or wizardy snack. This is a harder question, mostly because I tend to not actually pay a ton of attention to snacks and drinks and stories. I'm probably gonna go with a classic homebrew ale. Oh, I got 4 and 5 switched around. Sorry. Okay, that was question 5 that I just did. Question 4. Open up your grimoire and pick a book of magic to help in your casting. I'm gonna go with my favorite, the book that I think of when I think of a classic grimoire, which is the Book of Shadows from Charmed. I was in fact that child who snuck watching all of Charmed, even though there are definitely parts of that I did not understand at the time. I mostly just thought it was really cool and like sister power and things like that. But yeah, I think of the Book of Shadows from that particular story, generally speaking, when I think of like a witchy spell book. Question 6 is to summon your familiar. Either show us your actual familiar and give them some scritches behind the ears, or tell us about your favorite fictional animal. Well, I will take you for a quick journey. This is my Wally. She's named after Mary Wollstonecraft Shelley. You want to give him a good look at your face? Your scary eyes? And then Mr. Soren. And then there's our good old classic Mr. Soren, named after Kierkegaard. So those are my 2 kitties, my 2 familiars. Okay, the last question is to call to your coven. It's to tag your friends who you'd like to see do this particular tag. Now, I have a couple of people on my list, but Claire and Chelsea both got to a lot of the people who I would normally tag because, well, they're lovely and I think we all have great taste. So I'm gonna go with some, I think, a little bit more unusual ones. First and foremost, I'm going to tag Andreea over at Infinite Text. She's lovely, I adore her, and her humor is to die for. I'm going to tag Shannon and Sush from That's So Po. Mostly I think it would be really fun to see them do this tag. I don't know if they'll have time or if they will, but if they do, I would love seeing it. I'm going to tag Adri Joy. This is a little bit of an unusual one. Adri doesn't have a booktube channel. She has appeared on mine and my Hugo's vlogs. But she's over at Nerds of a Feather, and I would love to see if she and the Nerds of a Feather crew would want to do the tag. The Lady Business crowd, Renee over at Lady Business did the tag too, and so I'd love to see us start spreading tags outside of kind of the booktube world. I'm going to tag Chelsea Palmer, who has a booktube channel that I've been watching for a while. I'm pretty sure she doesn't know that I exist, but I'll try tagging her on Twitter and hope for the best. And then Sam from Thoughts on Tomes, because her like constant low-key witch aesthetic is what I aspire to at some point. Like, she's like the high glam witch. I'm just like your average hedge witch. I'm a little bit more Tiffany Aching, a little bit less, I don't know, Maleficent. And I would love to see her thoughts on this. So there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and reach out to those folks on Twitter. Hopefully they will respond and do the tag too. If you wanna do the tag, please leave your link below. So let's get to it, what you're all here for. The Twisted Ones. I had a giveaway for 2 copies of T. Kingfisher's The Twisted Ones because Amazon was real drunk the week this came out. I happen to have a trade paperback and a hardcover. And to enter, you had to leave a comment on my last video. So let's go ahead. We're going to use, I have numbers picked out from a random number generator. And we are going to go through the comments and pick some folks. I will also be reaching out to those people on the comments that they left on their on the original video, so that hopefully if you don't see this video, you will get that notification. So let's go ahead. Tamikma, I would go ahead and reach out to you. And then Samyahanto, I'm probably saying both of those wrong, but I will reach out to you both. If I do not hear back, we'll call it by Friday the 25th, I will go ahead and reach out to somebody else to see if they'd like the copy. I hope you guys are having a fantastic reading week. This tag was so much fun, and I love stuff that gets in this spirit and that it feels very genre fiction appropriate. So again, if you go ahead and do the tag, link me below. I want to watch your video. Dear God, I want to watch it. I might put together a playlist of all of the Bookish Witch tags I can find. And I will talk to you guys later. You know the drill. Comment, like, subscribe. Check me out over on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to hang out and help me pick out my TBRs, you can go on over to my Patreon.